Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. Yeah, I'm doing a lunchtime run, sort of 5 to 7k, and I'm going to use a shoe that, to be honest, I've hardly worn over the years. You know, I've had it a good over a year and a half and hardly worn it. It's a different type of shoe. I bought the actual second version of this shoe. I use that a lot more. But I've been told by friends that you can use the first version of this shoe, which I'm about to show you, for slower runs. So you can actually use it in tandem with the second version. So anyway, I'm confusing everyone. So I'll just show you what the shoe is. So the shoe is the Wave Rebellion Pro, first version. And so I've done quite a few races in the version 2, which is a great shoe, by the way, but it's more aggressive, so it's not very good for going slow. And I'm thinking I can use this as my kind of tempo shoe in maybe a rotation with the Neo Vista, this shoe, the Wave Rebellion Pro, and my race shoe, which would be the Wave Rebellion Pro 2. And I feel like that would be potentially a really good rotation. So I'm going to test it out at a kind of average pace. Try a bit of speed work and then get back to you on whether I think this could actually fill that void as a tempo shoe. One of the reasons I'm looking at this is it's a bargain, just over £100, and I know they've got the Flash, and I think this is potentially a better shoe than the Flash and a cheaper shoe than the Flash if you can still get hold of it. So let's see how it goes, and I'll let you know my thoughts on this shoe as not necessarily as a race day option, although you could race in it, but definitely as a kind of tempo shoe, ones where you can do some decent speed, but nothing, you know, nothing too amazing, you know. And I'll see what it's like at lower speeds as well and get back to you. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye bye. So immediately what you feel when you run in the Wave Rebellion Pro, it's a very light shoe. It tips you forward onto your midfoot and forefoot. I'm hitting the bump, which is kind of midfoot area. It's quite a nice feel, but it's a weird feel. You kind of hit a bump and then it rolls you forward. I think the principle is that if you land in the midfoot area and land on the bump, like your foot strike flows through and it leans you forward and you get a nice flow. And I'm feeling that actually. I'm not feeling I don't think the foam is as bouncy or springy as something like the Sky Paris or even the Endorphin Elite, Saucony Endorphin Elite. So it's not, I wouldn't describe this as the most outstanding feel in terms of the foam, but the geometry of this shoe ensures a kind of nice flow to your running stride, particularly if you can get up onto that midfoot and flow through using the rocker to its full effect. It does feel weird though. It feels like you're hitting a bump, and it definitely falls under the category of a shoe that you've got to get used to. Like this yellow, like the Prime X Strung, but it is a fun shoe. It's one where I think the geometry is even more important than the foam here in terms of performance in this shoe. I think for future versions of this shoe, if they can improve the foam you've got a potential winner here. But as I said, I'm using this shoe today just to kind of do a nice tempo run. Nothing too ridiculous. I'm thinking this could maybe hit a sweet spot in my rotation. It's been that shoe that I take on these kind of sessions when I want to let my legs go a little bit, nothing too crazy, but don't want to wear a shoe that I'm planning to race in and wear it down. And I think, as I said in the intro, the other bonus is the shoe's very cheap at the moment. I mean, I think I saw it at £109 at Start Fitness, which is an absolute bargain for this. You can, of course, race in this shoe as well. Okay, let's try a bit of speed work. Let's give it, let's see how it reacts. The legs are so sore. Not recovered at all from Chicago yet, or the 2 5k park runs I've done since. It's probably not a good idea. It's my left glute mainly. I have to keep stretching, keep protecting it. There you go, nice flow through the stride there. It's a firm ride actually. That's something to be aware of. And I think it probably has to be because of the geometry. It's a potentially very unstable shoe. I think what's different between this shoe and the first version is this shoe's less aggressive and it feels more comfortable at slower paces than the second shoe, sorry. I'm going reasonably slow now after those strides, and it feels fine actually. Whereas I think in the second version it's a bit of a challenge to run slowly in it. It's just too aggressive. Right, just give me a sec. Right, I realised my watch has just died, so I'm going to start my Strava on my phone to capture the run. Just give me a second. Right, here you go, starting. It's telling me it's starting the run, even though I've not started again, but I will be. Right, here we go. Yeah, it really rewards you getting up onto that forefoot, midfoot and forefoot. It's one of those shoes that requires you to have good form. If you're feeling a bit sloppy and trying to run with this shoe, it's not going to work. It wants you up on your toes, your knees up, and running with good form. And if you do that, it feels rather good actually. It feels good, yeah. I suspect that I could actually go for quite a long run in this shoe, but here's the big downside. I don't think it's very good on a camber. I've had a few already where it feels like it's rocking me way too much one side, and that's obviously might not be good for your ankles. So I'm seeing this as potentially something you could take long, where you know it's going to be decent pavement, nothing with too steep a camber, or you're going to pay for that, I think, with your ankles. But certainly as this path flattens, it seems fine. It's quite an enjoyable ride, actually. What I would say, if I had to describe it, feels like quite an efficient shoe. It's been built with efficiency in mind. So the way it rocks you forward, you kind of flow and cruise in this shoe, but you don't bounce particularly much. The foam isn't that bouncy, to be honest. Now, it's not dead foam, but it's not that lively either. It's not like Prime X or the Alpha Fly, those type of shoes. Definitely not. But the geometry kind of works for me when I'm running kind of at a steady pace. If I'm running really quick, as I did on the strides, it's I kind of miss the mid-foot sweet spot in the shoe. But running like this, it's actually quite nice. So I'm sensing this could be an option for those kind of days where you don't want to go slow, but you don't want to go mega fast either. So you're in between a shoe, and I don't see any reason why you would necessarily pay the money for the Flash if you could get this and use this as your less aggressive shoe compared to version 2, which is incredibly aggressive and not one that will allow you to run slowly at all. By no means a slow run shoe this, so you have to know that. You can't go mega slow in it. It's not a recovery run shoe at all. But where it is good is that this kind of, for me anyway, is 5 kilometre pace. So where I'm shifting but I'm not flying, if you know what I mean. And it's quite nice at that pace. I'm kind of cruising. My legs are pretty beat up, as I mentioned, and this is actually feels okay. So I quite like it. I think I'll probably do a video on this shoe and maybe suggest this other use case for it with a few caveats. One of the main caveats being a flat surface, because you need a flat surface for this shoe. As soon as the road starts to get a little bit what's the word, cambered, slightly cambered now, but it's okay. But if it gets steep and slants too much to one side, You feel like you're going to topple one way in this shoe. I wish it wouldn't beep like that. Anyway, people in a rush, as always. You find that in life, everyone's in a rush. Nobody's got any patience anymore. Maybe that's just a London thing. It definitely feels that way. As a runner, I often feel like nobody wants to stop for you anymore. I think even though the rules were changed recently, so they should, rarely happens, particularly in London. Part of the problem is the traffic situation here is dreadful. So people don't want to stop. They want to get from A to B quickly. But it means for people who walk or run or even cycle can be a bit precarious. I mean, I know to my own cost, I was hit by a car while I was out running and broke my tibia in 3 places, my T4 in 11 sections of my spine, and also both shoulder scapulars were fractured by that one accident. So it wasn't the driver's fault, actually, to be fair to him, but I know the dangers of running when it comes to cars. You have to be so careful. Anyway, back to the shoe. The shoes are pretty good, actually. I've neglected these shoes way too much, I think. There's some days where you need a little bit of assistance from this kind of a rocker. This would have been great. They're comfortable. I went half a size up, actually, and I'm glad I did. There's not a lot of space in the toe box for this version, the original. I think the version 2 is better though. More room. Well, I don't think I know it's better. Yes, that's about all I want to say. It's a nice, comfortable ride. You can go quick, a bit slower, not really slow, and it's fine. You just have to be careful where you're running, that it's not too cambered, and have good ankle strength, and run with good form. And then this could be a viable option for you. Look at that. That's where I was going to go, but I'm not now. So, let's go around the corner. Here we go. Try not to get hit by a car as they come out of this place. I'll see you later. Bye. Hello, this is Ed from Runnable. I just want to talk a little bit about this shoe. It's the Wave Rebellion Pro, not the Pro 2. I've got the Pro 2 here. I want to talk about this shoe because I recently saw it at a kind of bargain price in Start Fitness of £109. It reminded me that I had the shoe because I haven't been using it much at all. In fact, I haven't used it really much since I actually bought it, and that's mainly not because the shoe's a bad shoe, mainly because I bought this one soon after because of all the really good reviews about version 2. And it got me thinking, is there a use case where I could, continue to use this shoe and maybe at the same time use the Pro 2? And I was thinking, maybe is there a way I could save this for some racing and use this for the training runs? So I thought I'd test this out at a slower pace today. And actually, because it isn't quite as aggressive as the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 from Mizuno, it actually works much better than version 2 at slower paces. I mean, I don't mean slow, I mean slower paces. So where you want to just pick up the pace a little bit, cruise at a kind of decent pace, whatever that pace is for you. I think the shoe works actually quite well. So it did get me thinking, potentially as part of a rotation, a Mizuno rotation, you could in theory use these shoes. So you could use your Neo Vista for some of your slower workouts, even though this can go faster, still pretty good at slow pace. You could use your Wave Rebellion Pro as your kind of more up-tempo shoe. You can go faster in this shoe, of course, if you wanted to. You could even use this for intervals. And you could save your Rebellion Pro 2, Wave Rebellion Pro 2 for your racing. And actually, the more I thought about it after the run today, the more I thought this could be an actual winning combination. You wouldn't have to invest in the Flash, which I think is an inferior shoe actually to the Wave Rebellion Pro, and quite similar in the geometry. So I guess for those that want a cheap option, it's a light shoe, it's 230 grams, it's well cushioned, as you can see. The stack height measurements are difficult to work out because of the cutaway in the heel, but you've got, if you're landing in the midfoot, it's well over 50 millimeters there, cushion, and that's the sweet spot when you hit the midfoot and roll forward. So it's lightweight, it's cushioned, it's a firmish foam, it's got like dual density, so you have this orange, let me see if I can show you. You have the orange foam at the top, and if we do some reading on there, we get 36.5, I don't think you can see that yet. And then on the whiter foam at the bottom, we have a density reading of 37. So slightly firmer at the bottom than the top. If we do that in the forefoot, we have 33 in this PIBA foam here. Energy Light Plus, I believe that is. And then in just the Energy Light, which I believe is EVA based, we have, what we got there, 33 again. So similar sort of density of the foam. So it's not it's by no means really firm, but it has kind of a firmer feeling than some of the other foams. Like if you compare this to the Cielo, it's a lot firmer. All right, if we do a quick reading of, say, the Neo Vista, which you've got here, and we do the foam for that, that's 37, and down the bottom we've got 31, that's dual density. So again, it's a similar sort of ballpark. By no means is this a firm shoe, but you're going to feel it's firm enough to have that stability, and it's not by any means mushy. And you can see on my right, I describe it as a firm feeling foam. I'm used to, I like the Cielo, so I like the soft foam. So for me, this has a kind of firmer feeling to it, but for a lot of people, this is going to feel absolutely fine. So like I said, to round this up, if you want to get this shoe at that bargain price, you don't just have to use it as a race shoe. It's quite a nice shoe to go kind of up tempo, like I did today. It rolls you through your stride. The caveats are obviously you have to understand that this takes some getting used to. It feels really weird to walk in. It's not the most stable shoe. It has some sidewalls on the midfoot to keep your foot locked in, but it's not the most stable shoe. But it's fairly lightweight, like I said, and you could use it for your up-tempo runs, some racing, some interval sessions, and you could save your version 2 for your marathons or half marathons, or even 5-10Ks for racing. And then you could throw a lot of easier miles at the Neo Vista and some faster miles at this as well. That's kind of all I want to say today. I hope that's been useful for you, and watch the run footage and see you later. Bye bye. I mean, the other thing, I suppose the final thing that would be remiss of me not to talk about is the grip, the outsole grip on these, the Wave Rebellion Pros and the Pro 2s for that matter. The outsole grip is very, very tacky and grippy. It's one of the best grips out there for just gripping onto the pavement. Got these tiny sharp lugs that kind of bite into the surface. So it's a really good outsole grip. It's harsh though, so it means there's nothing soft about this shoe. It's got all this stack height, but it's not a soft shoe. It adds to the firmness of the ride. So for those that are looking for a soft ride, this shoe's not it. I mean, it's firmer than the Prime X Strung 2, for instance. To give you some idea how firm this is. It's up there with the Endorphin Elite Saucony's quite firm racing shoe, which actually, once you start running in it, breaks down a bit. It's not too bad, but when you first run in it, it feels quite firm. This is a firm shoe as well, and it's probably the main reason I've not taken this shoe or version 2, the marathon distance, because I think it could be an effective shoe actually. I'm just worried about how firm it is. I guess there's lots of people who wouldn't describe this as a firm shoe, but for me, someone who likes soft bouncy shoes, I would describe this as firm, on the firmer side. You can do some foam tests later on to get some kind of density readings, but I feel it's quite dense foam, quite firm. And with the Light Strike Pro, which is also another dense firm foam, you've got a lot of bounce, that you get bounce energy return, then it doesn't feel so firm. But as I said earlier, this don't really get what I would call any major bounce. It's more of a kind of roll through your foot strike in a very aggressive way. That's where you build up your speed. Again, there's something to bear in mind if you're looking to use these at slower paces. You might feel the firmness a bit more. As soon as you pick up the pace, that's likely to go away. And you should feel fine. So it could be a good marathon shoe. It's just something I'm wary of, whether I can cope with how aggressive this rocker is at 26.2 miles or more is another question. But I cope with the Endorphin Elite, and I was speeding up at the end of that marathon, so I'm guessing I would be able to cope with it. It's just whether do I want to cope with it, or do I want to do the marathons in comfort in my Cielo X1s. That's the big question. If they are really comfortable, they have an aggressive rocker, and I've got some fast times with those shoes, so I'd be loath to change them for something less comfortable, which I may or may not go quicker in. But that's life, isn't it? You got to risk things now and again to find out, which is what I'll probably have to do. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about, and I'll see you later.